Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome to my kitchen. Thanks for being here today. I'm glad you could tune in for Watch Me Wednesday. Today, I'm going to show you how to host a cocktail party and prep all the food in about 30 minutes. So we're going to have 5 different appetizers and they're going to be done really quick. So before I begin, I want to tell you a couple of things. Today is not only Watch Me Wednesday, but I'm hosting a live virtual Pampered Chef party right now. And this video is going to work for that product demonstration at the same time. So the recipes that I share are Pampered Chef recipes. I will be sharing these with you when we're all done, and I hope you enjoy. So today is all about a cocktail party, one that you can do quickly, one that you can do easily, one that you can do and walk away and still have time to get ready and be comfortable for your guests. I have 5 recipes to show you. All 5 recipes go in the oven at the same time. Well, I should say 4 out of the 5 recipes go in the oven at the same time. All of the pans will fit into your oven at exactly the same time. They all cook at the same temperature and they all cook for about the same amount of time. So this is super simple. The biggest thing to help you be successful when setting up for this party is to prep. So have everything that you need laid out ahead of time. This is officially called mise en place. It's when you put all of your ingredients in the appropriate measurement into little individual bowls and set them up in the order that you're going to need them. That way, when you go through the recipe, you don't have to fuss. You're already pre-measured, you have things in order, so you just can begin. So this is really important to being successful in the kitchen. Sometimes I am in a hurry and don't want to do this, and every single time I skip this part, I regret it. So take the extra few minutes and set up. And again, having yourself be prepared in the kitchen is really going to help you in the long run. So I'm going to start by showing you what I have done here. I need to tip my screen a little bit so you can see what my workspace. And so what I've got going on down here, I've got my Pampered Chef pastry mat, and I've got my Pampered Chef stone, and I've got the rolling cookie cutter that I talked about the other day. And so we're going to begin with the stone because the stone has some important things that we want to just get on here and kind of move away so we can have our work surface in a better place. So I have about half a cup. I'm guessing I didn't really measure. A half a cup of walnuts set up right here. And I am going to drizzle these walnuts with a very tiny drop of oil. That was actually 2, but that's okay because we're just going to mix these around. They don't need very much because they have a lot of their own natural oil, but we kind of just want the surface to be protected. And so they don't take very much. I'm just going to add a couple more little drops at a time. And if you don't have one of these little dispensers, that's okay. You can dip your pastry brush into some olive oil and just paint them directly. You don't have to use a little extra oil, but I find that it protects the surface of the nut against the harsh heat. And so you have a better, more evenly browned nut if you use just a tiny bit of oil. Okay, so on here, this are our nuts. We're making brie. And so I have a baked honey walnut brie to be exact. This is a 5.5-inch tiny cast iron skillet. I got this from Pampered Chef. Pampered Chef as a prize for doing well in my sales. And inside of this cast iron skillet is a hunk of brie. And you can be any size that you want. Just pick one that will fit in your pan, but make sure it's whole. Don't buy a wedge, don't buy a chunk. Just make sure it has the coating on both sides and place it in your baker. Nothing else has to happen to this. This is all that you're going to do for this appetizer. Set the brie aside. We're going to have the walnuts in here that we're going to toast. The second appetizer that we're going to talk about is tapenade. Tapenade is actually going to be made while the other thing's in the oven. But for the video today, I had to prepare some things ahead of time because the food processor is exceedingly noisy and I didn't want you to have to hear that while I talked. So we'll talk more about that later, but we have to get the bread ready for the tapenade and for the brie. So here's a tip for time saving. Ask your grocery store or bakery to slice your bread. So if you buy a baguette, like I did, you just ask them to slice it, and then you have no work to do. So this is a huge time saver for you. So I'm going to dump out a few of these slices, however many you think you need for your party. I'm not sure. Just line them up here. And the good thing about this is that it cooks really quickly, and so if you want to do a second batch of these to keep them fresh, you can certainly do that, because it doesn't take any time at all to get these things together. Okay, so I have them all lined up here. Now I'm going to take my olive oil again and drizzle lightly down the center of each toast. And then we're going to spread the oil around. And this is all you have to do. Now, I kind of like a little flavoring on my crostinis when they come out of the oven. So this is your call. And it also would depend on what food you're serving, but I kind of like to season these a little bit. Some of my favorite seasonings for the top of the crostinis are a garlic herb rub. Pampered Chef has a phenomenal garlic herb rub. If you don't have that in your kitchen right now, a good substitution is Mrs. Dash garlic and herb. So you just want to sprinkle it on the top before you bake. You could also do garlic salt. You could do seasoned sea salt. Totally your call. Rosemary might also be really delicious. For now, we're just going to set these aside. We're going to move on next to the second dish. And the second dish are mini deep dish pizza bites. And so on my pastry mat here, I have Pillsbury pizza dough. And all I did was unwind it all the way, floured the surface, and rolled it out until it was exactly the same size as my pan. And so the pan that we're going to show you today is the Brownie Bites pan, and it is an 11 by 14 pan, and it holds 24 bites. And so I rolled out my dough to 11 by 14. I measured it on my pastry mat, and then once I had it all rolled out, I'm going to cut it out. This is the rolling cookie cutter. I talked about this the other day. This is the square wheel. It kind of looks like a letter H, like you can see there. But the really cool thing about this is that it's going to be exactly the right size for this Brownie Bites pan. So you press on the dough and push firmly and evenly and roll it all the way to the edge, and then repeat again. And now we have some really great squares. So I took the liberty of doing these up a little bit ahead of time to save some time for this video. So some of them are ready, but I'm going to show you how to do this. So once you roll, you've got the square. You're going to put it directly into the Brownie Bite pan, like so, and repeat. And since the rolling cookie cutter has taken all the work out of it and all the guests, this is ready for you. Pop it in. Easy peasy. So now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of your favorite pizza sauce to each of the Brownie Bites in the well. And here's where it gets fun, because just like with any regular pizza, you can customize this to fit your tastes or dietary needs. For today's demonstration, I'm just doing pepperoni. So there are 2 different sizes of pepperoni that you can buy at the store, and I originally thought I would get the little miniature ones so that there could be a couple of bites per appetizer. But I found that the regular size pepperoni is the perfect size to fit the top. And so this is actually kind of a little bit of a time saver, because I don't have to fuss. I just take one and put it down and move on. So I'm glad that I resisted my original idea and went with the full-size peps. To the top of the pepperoni, we want to put a little, maybe teaspoon and a half of cheese. I'm not really sure. I like cheese, so I tend to like cram it in there quite a bit. And then if you want to, you can add extra toppings. You could add extra seasonings. I happen to be really partial to a frozen pizza seasoning by Penzeys Spice, and I use that all the time on my frozen pizzas or on something like this. You could also look for the Pampered Chef spice line. They have some great options in there for you too. So this is ready. So that was all there was. 3 ingredients: crust, sauce, well, 4, crust, sauce, cheese, and pep. So put this on the side. Now this one is really going to be your showstopper. And so I didn't do a whole lot of prep on this because I wanted you to see the whole thing. I'm going to move this extra dough out of my way real fast. Okay, so for this, these are called corned beef puffs. And so it's the same concept as before. We're going to take a tube of dough, Pillsbury crescent dough this time, and we're going to roll it out of the tube, keep it in one large rectangle, and pinch all the seams together so it looks like a solid mass of dough. Again, roll out the dough to an 11 by 14 shape, and then lay it directly on top of this pan, the full sheet. When you are covered, take a knife and score between each row. So you have 24 squares sitting on top of the mini muffin well. I have this great tool from Pampered Chef that is just for this task. And you just push it directly into the well and it makes the divot for you. So easy again, quick, super quick. There is a tool like this for the brownie pan, and it's a square shape instead of round. But I would highly recommend getting these if you want to buy one of these pans, because I'm surprised at how many times I've actually used this. When my first gut reaction was like, I don't know if I really need that. I could do that with something else, but let me tell you, nothing else fits like this, and it's so fast. So moving on, we've got our crusts all prepared. I'm going to show you how to prep this filling. I'm going to move this back up a little bit so we don't have to. There we go. So what I did off camera, again, because of the noise, is I took a half a pound of corned beef. And to save time, I stopped at the deli. The deli has them prepackaged in 7-ounce packages. Now I know this isn't exactly a half a pound, but it's probably close enough. And just make sure it's kind of thin. The slices that were inside of this box were just an average deli slice. Okay? So you throw the whole container, half a pound, into your food processor. And with that, you put 2 green onions. Make sure to keep, cut off the root end, but save as much of the white in there as possible because you really want that onion flavoring incorporated into the mixture. So I threw the corned beef and the onions in there, and I pulsed it 3 or 4 times until I had the size pieces that I thought I wanted. So when it comes out of the food processor, it looks like this. It's just all mixed and minced. And then I'm going to put this into a larger bowl so I can stir. And to that bowl, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard and 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise and 1 cup of finely shredded Swiss cheese. And that's all there is to this. That's the middle. Super simple. And so now we're going to gently stir all of these ingredients together and try not to spill the meat all over the counter. And then I'm going to show you the next really cool tool that I have and demonstrate the ingenuity of Pampered Chef. One of the best things about Pampered Chef to me is it makes me able to kick up my cooking game, or at least make my cooking game easier. Sometimes I feel like when I look at new recipes and I think about what's in them and there's so many ingredients and it seems so overwhelming that sometimes I feel like, I don't really want to try that. But the good thing about Pampered Chef is they make things super easy with the regular kitchen person in mind. They know that people out there are not chefs. They know that people out there don't want to waste their time. And so they make things and products, recipes and products with that in mind. Okay, so I've got my meat filling. This is the small scoop from Pampered Chef. There's a small one and a large one. And inside of the circle, there is an inner piece of metal. And when you squeeze the handle, I don't know if you can see that, but the inner piece of metal swings back and forth, left to right. And that is going to release the food from the scoop. So you want to be mindful about how much your scoop is for two reasons. Because you want your appetizers all to look nice and evenly proportioned, but you also don't want to run out of filling before you get to the end of the tray. And so that's really good for this because this is pre-measured. And so if you make a flat, level scoop, you can put that directly into the tart, and it is a perfect fit. No guess. Super easy. So I'm going to fill these really quick. And while I do, I'm going to talk to you about my experience with Pampered Chef. So 25 years ago, maybe not that long, maybe 23, I decided that when I was a mother of a 2-year-old daughter, that I wanted to be involved with Pampered Chef. And the reason for that is I wanted really nice cooking things in my kitchen. I enjoy cooking, and I wanted to learn how to be a better cook. And so I decided I was going to host a Pampered Chef party. Boy, oh boy, did that open my eyes. There were so many neat things, so many things that I wanted. And then I looked at the sticker and I thought, how am I ever going to afford this? Well, let me tell you how you're going to do that. And the way you're going to do that is by hosting a party, because when you host a party, Pampered Chef wants to thank you for your time. And so they create incentives for hosts to have parties. You have the ability to earn dollars worth of free products. And you also have the opportunity to earn 50% off products in addition to your free products. And you also have time or have the ability to earn the monthly special. And every month, Pampered Chefs changes their specials, and so that keeps it interesting. When I hosted my launch party to become a consultant the second time around, this was in April of this year, I my party was successful enough that I was able to earn some really nice equipment on my own that I wouldn't have been able to pay for myself out of my pocket right away. So hosting is really the way to go. And the way that they do the parties now, it's so amazing. I had no understanding of virtual parties, obviously 23 years ago. Everything we did was in people's homes, and those are fun because you actually get to cook in front of people and show people the products. But this virtual way is so neat because everybody can shop on their own time. They use their own equipment. They can browse at their own leisure. They can spend what they want without feeling pressured by the other party goers. It's really very convenient. Okay, so I'm down to the end of my dough, and I will tell you, as I mentioned, I went for the 7-ounce container of meat instead of asking for the deli clerk to slice it for me. And so the 7-ounce, that last ounce that was missing, made a difference for this recipe because I have one really shy fill and one empty. And so that ounce is that's where that ounce is accounted for. But that's okay, because nobody's going to miss one. And this little scoop here looks a little full, so I'm going to just take some out of him and kind of transfer it around so this little guy can have a full one too. And it's okay if we have one less, but we're going to take that crust out because we don't need to cook that empty. Okay, so I have shown you everything but the top knot, and again, that happens while this stuff is in the oven, but I want to run over the dessert really quick that we're going to stick in the oven at the same time. So again, I'm using one of these 5.5-inch cast iron skillets, and I have it filled with about 2/3 of a cup of chocolate chips, and I have half milk chocolate and half semi-sweet chocolate because I prefer lighter chocolate and I didn't want it to be so rich, but you could do this with any chocolate. And for those of you that love really dark chocolate, this would be also really amazing that way. And so you just put those in the bottom of the pan, simple as that, nothing else. And on top of that, you're going to pour some miniature marshmallows. And again, I haven't measured these. I don't know how much that is. It's just looked like it was about enough for the top of my bowl. And see, just like that. So this is going to go in at the same time. And this will brown up and be all nice. And then you can serve this with graham crackers or cookies or little fruits as a nice little dessert, because sometimes everybody doesn't want to eat savory foods. Okay, so let's review. Brie, s'mores, corned beef puffs, deep dish pizza bites, and tapenade. 5 appetizers, 30 minutes or less. And the 30 minutes or less is all of this, like cutting this up, filling them in, the whole 9 yards. You can do it 30 minutes. And in 45 minutes, you can have everything cooked and your kitchen clean. And I know this because I timed myself yesterday. I did a dry run of all of these yesterday because I didn't want to tell you could do it and not be able to do it. Today is a lot shorter. I'm talking about more things, and so it's not exactly 30 minutes. I'll be right back after these come out of the oven. Hang tight. Hello again. So it's been about 15 minutes, and I have all of these delicious treats that have come out of the oven, and I want to talk you through the next steps. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the baking stone that had the walnuts and the bread. And so the walnuts, you need to scoop those up. I'm using the mini spatula to scoop those up and put them right on top of the brie. And I didn't show you that, but it's got slightly browned on the top. Oops. I gotta stop showing things. Every time I show things, I spill things. I should remember this. Okay, so back to the nuts. Put them right on top of the brie. They can drizzle around the edges. They can go on top. Just get them all on there. And then I've got about a tablespoon or so of honey. And I am going to drizzle this over the warm walnuts and brie. And this is going to just kind of glaze everything and make it super happy. Okay. So that's all there is to that appetizer. That was the easiest one of them all. So I forgot to, before I paused last time, talk about the tapenade. So I'm going to do that really quick because I don't have anything to really show you right now. So I'm just going to talk you through the steps. But this is also an enormously simple recipe. It has green olives, black olives, and olive oil and garlic. And you throw everything into the food processor and you pulse it until it is a fine mince. And when you're done, it's going to look like this. And so that took literally opening the cans, draining the juice from the olives and putting it in the food processor. It took 2 minutes. So simple. Okay. So then back to the board, we have these little bread bites. And so you want to plate those up on something because those need to be served next to your brie and your tapenade. I am sharing this cutting board with some graham crackers, and so you'll just want to place this close to both. Okay, and now for the main event, we have the appetizers. I'm going to tilt the camera slightly forward so you can look more easily. Okay, and so here we go. On this end, we have the corned beef puffs, and over here we have the deep dish pizza bites. And these are pretty good size. I want to show you one pretty close up because they really are pretty thick. They're almost as wide as my finger. Maybe a little bit wider, but they're full of goodness. And then the puffs, they're round on the bottom instead of square because they were done in the mini muffin pans. And oh, it's back. Okay, so I wanted to show you, these are crisp. The crescent roll dough gets crisp around the edge. So they're really nice and soft in the middle. So one thing that I think looks really nice is you don't want to forget to garnish your food before you serve it because it really makes it so much more appealing to the eye. And so what I've done, and I'm going to show you one more time, I'm going to show you these close up. On top of the pizza bites, I've sprinkled a little bit of parsley. That's it, just a little garnish on that. There are also some on top of here, but it just gives the appearance of fresh herbs, like you spent a little bit more time than you probably did. Because remember, we've thrown together this entire party in less than 30 minutes. And for dessert, the s'mores. They come out of the oven looking like this. All golden brown and delicious. I can't wait to dip my graham cracker in there. In fact, I'm going to do that so you can see the melty chocolate. Sorry, this is super hot. I'm trying to juggle it, but here we go. So inside it's all melty and delicious, and with a little bit of marshmallow. Oh boy, that's some good stuff right there. So thank you for participating in my appetizer party. It's been great to have you along. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you out. I am going to post the recipes for all of these, so look for those. And if you have questions about any of the products, let me know. And if you want to do what I do, let me bend your ear because it's a fantastic time to be involved with Pampered Chef. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.